So, hi guys, I had a lovely interview, or we will see one very shortly. I spoke to the organizers of the WTC in Gilbo. They even came with an announcement for next year, where it'll be held at. A bit of the thoughts about both how this event was and how the event coming up next will be as well. So I hope you enjoyed the little interview we made, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
And I actually, of all the people I ran into the organizers. And I asked very nicely if I could get a little interview. And for some reason they said yes. So here they are, both of them. If you'd just start with you, Steve, for example, just introduce yourself a little bit, and you can talk a little bit about the process, perhaps, where you started with this tournament this time.
Okay. So basically, I'm Steve. I started to be interested in Gilbo a few years ago. So just when season 2 got live, but I was already organizing a lot of local events. So I think like the WTC was like the step up. I wanted to reach out to other communities around the globe. And that was just the way to do it. We also really wanted to support the game Gilbo and really turn it into a big event. So.
Steve also had a lot of history with War Machine as well. So the mixture between the WTC War Machine and Gilbo was an easy step to make.
You're also using a very similar format for both, as they use a very similar one, but they're now using 5 teams instead of 3.
Yes, the first WTC last year we really didn't know what to expect, so how much the turnout would be. So we started, let's start with three teams of 3 people. I think for next year we'll probably be upgrading to 5 people per team.
Yeah.
So most likely.
Yeah, we still need to talk about that, but, because there are like divided opinions. Others, especially when you ask the players, like some like 5-man teams, much more. Others like the 3 teams, because of the fact that basically when you have 3 teams, you can still very well influence who is going to play which guilds. You still have a say in it in a way. If you play like 5 teams, it's more like rock, paper, scissors. So it's going to be more luck based. And we don't want to make that happen.
It's one of the points that we disagree a bit on, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but okay, it's
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, and until you guys figure it out, I guess. What do you think about this weekend so far? It's been quite. There's a few delays, but otherwise we got through it very well, even ahead of time.
Yes, ahead of time was because we dropped 1 round because of the uneven pairings. But after all, it really went a smooth event.
Yeah.
So it's just after the first round we had a bit of an issue. So at the start of the tournament, one of the German guys fell out. And we had to make some switches. Within the switches, a human error occurred. So after the first round, when all the points were given into the system, we had to delete the first round, match exactly the countries again, because all the matches have been played. And then within the matches, we had to repair all the players again. And after that, we had to re-enter all the data again. So that was a really stressful 2 hours to get all that done. But it was better for the end of the tournament in global to have everything nice and properly lined up.
The level was also very high, much higher, I have the impression, than last year, both in the playing and also in the painting. So we really noticed really a step up compared to last year. Like now you really had a few very strong teams. Like not a few, like almost 10 strong teams, which could really potentially win the WTC. And even with like the painting, where last year we had a short list of, I think it was like 7 teams in total, we now had 15 qualified people for the short list. So that tells you something about the level.
Yeah, so a lot of good painters coming up this year.
Actually, yeah.
And competitively also, I do believe we have the best player for each meta, the best players get around here. So UK, really strong lineup, Germany as well. Sweden, Finland, the top teams all did really well.
Yeah.
And there was some surprise, I think, that some teams that did really well.
And how about all these new people coming in? There's a lot of new teams this year.
Yes.
Yeah, that is true. I think we had the United Arab Emirates. We had Czech Republic as well joining. Which other countries were there new actually to us? I think Norway sent a team for sure.
And they were good as well.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that when you go online, you tend to meet a lot of people online, of course, through Facebook posts or Twitter, and these all fall back nicely together here at the WTC, so it's really enjoyable.
You also meet like really the people behind the pictures you see online, etc. You get to know them a little bit. It's lovely.
That's probably one of the best parts of this type of tournaments that I prefer as well, actually setting a face to some Twitter handle, or mostly you realize that there's people behind them as well in the end. And you have there's a lot of the podcasts are here as well. Steamforge themselves are here as well. They also did very well for themselves.
Wow, they ended up second.
Yeah, but I even heard that they actually had a spreadsheet to calculate their winning chance against each guild. So that was really crazy. Apparently, the other Steamforge staff was totally shocked because of it. So they went in very prepared.
Yes. And that shows in the results. So you see the teams that practice a lot, they are really hard to defeat.
They are. And it also shows in the Germans, for example, taking it again this year.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Yes.
So who do you think can take it next year from the Germans?
Oh, that's a good question. I think UK has really potentially get a strong line out.
And the US as well, but it always depends on who gets to play here, because I imagine that these guys cannot every year attend, because of the flight and the costs that go along with it. So
the thing is, during the process of climbing the ladder, there can be some underdogs that prevent a team from pushing through, that potentially can stop the Germans, and then it can be down to a couple dice rolls or something like that. But there's some really good hidden potential as well that can make the top teams really hard.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Norway actually took a US team as well.
Yes.
So that was
all right. We didn't see that one coming.
I don't think the Norwegians saw it coming either.
No.
Or the Americans.
Yes.
They were furious for about 10 seconds and realized it was actually pretty okay. It was fun.
The thing is with Germany that it's a bit the same like with soccer. They basically have like 3 top players, but right behind them they have Germany too, which also has 3 top players. It's the same like with soccer. They have 22 very qualified players, it's just the same. So
it's been a really nice.
I do like that you see some snowflake over here. So where the internet is going like, oh, Anvil is really bad. You don't play him at all. And some guys coming up here, okay, Anvil is my captain. There you go. Abandoning the rounds. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we've seen a few of those, and it's been a lot of interesting games. I also played through all of them as well myself. It was good fun. And you played as well, Steve?
Yeah, I did. I did play this year for Switzerland too, and I'm planning to next year as well. So both teams actually won 2 rounds and then lost 3 rounds. So we're just like like number 31 and number 32, I believe, which is pretty okay because these guys don't have a lot of players like in their meta, so they only get to practice with one another. So I think for such a community, it's a very good result, and I'm happy with it.
At some point in his life, Steve is planning to emigrate to Switzerland.
That is true. Yeah.
So that's the connection between Steve and Switzerland.
Yeah.
Is it the cows, the mountains?
It's actually the mountains.
Yeah.
The mountains is like, let's say, the nature is the first reason we want to move to Switzerland. And second of all, I also like the culture because it's like I grew up in Germany, like in the 80s, and somehow it feels a bit the same. Like I don't know, like it feels more cozy to me than Belgium.
Yeah, it's an excellent reason as any.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. I guess we've gotten through most of the important things.
I think so.
We've gone through a very nice tournament, and there was not really any big problems except for the little delay in the on the first day, but it happens. It actually, in the end, we were still finished about on schedule. It's a little later on yesterday, but today we're ahead, so compensating perfectly fine. So I think it went extremely well, all in all.
Yeah, and what we're also going to do towards next year, maybe we should talk a bit about next year. So
Definitely.
Next year is going to be in Belgium. So the same like last year as well, same location, but we're going to make some slight adjustments. Like this year we had Poland, we had a few things which we really liked. For instance, the food was buffet style. So where last year you had a fixed dish. So that's something we also want to see if we can change that with the hotel, because of course we need to negotiate with them. And then on top, we also have the water fountains here, where last year people were going to the big supermarket to buy bottles of water. So these kind of like small things we definitely want to incorporate into next year's edition as well.
Yeah, the hotel there has been fairly okay. It's as I told on the video a little earlier, it's maybe a little old and a little run down, but it's still very good.
Yep.
And it's good quality. We've had plenty of space, everything we need.
Usually gamers don't lay awake from the hotel as much. They usually just want to play their games.
Yeah.
So but it's good hotel.
Yeah, exactly. We can't complain.
Yeah, I think most have enjoyed their time here very much.
Yeah, I did get a lot of feedback. They keep saying that. So that's for us actually the biggest thank you that we can get, is that we see that people enjoy themselves, and that all the effort which we put in it, that it was not all in vain. You know, that it
does take a year preparation more or less.
Yeah.
So for example, 2019 we're going to be ahead of schedule a bit. So the moment we hit January, within the first 2 weeks, we want to have the rule pack out. We want to have a lot more details out. So.
You know, we do have an advantage next year as well, that it's again in Belgium. The fact is that we have a bit more feeling, like we have literally boots on the ground there, where now we had to manage everything remotely, which is not always easy, let's put it like that. We had a lot of conf calls, I think, but all in all, I'm happy with the result.
They really pulled through,
they pulled it through, and that was the most important.
Yeah, you should maybe mention the local help you have.
Yeah, actually, the local help. Well, we had one person like who was kind of the project manager of the logistics here. That was Simon Gatka. He helped us very well. I think if you look at overall how the event went, I think it went great. Yeah.
And finally, I will just mention that maybe I want to hear a little bit about your hopes for next year.
Yeah.
In an ideal situation, what do you want to happen or not happen during next year?
The biggest challenge that we have is that currently we're a bit at max capacity. So we got about 600 to 700 players with War Machine and Guild Ball together. We have to find an hotel that can lodge all these people together, that has the same availability, that has enough room for all the big tables. So it depends a bit how Guild Ball is going to go, whether we have to do a back-to-back weekend or something like that, because there's a lot of overlap with the players and such. But currently, I do believe you are at max capacity. So
it's true. We can still add a few more teams. So my biggest dream would be to see a bit more countries still joining in. Like for instance, Italy. We did try to connect with them somehow, but they were only able to send 2 players, so we didn't find a third one. Then on top, I tried to find people in Portugal as well. So there are still a few countries, like Austria as well. I also networked with them. So there are a few countries which I still would love to see joining us.
And that's one of the things we have to consider when we're deciding to go with 3 teams or 5 teams. Obviously for the UK and Germany it's really easy to field a couple of teams of 5 persons. For like countries like Italy or
Portugal or the Czech Republic, whatever, they really have small communities, and
That's sort of finding the balance between actually having enough diversity of the teams and the countries and the competitiveness as well. So,
but you can also see the emotion within the local committees. For example, within Belgium, you can see a lot of commotion about
And there you have everything you need to know about next year, or at least some. And you can always find out more by actually going to the soon-to-be existing Facebook page. And I'm sure they'll give you plenty of information. And it'll be cool to see as many as possible next year. And it'll be awesome to see, just you. So click like, share, and subscribe, and in that package. And see you next year.